What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. I'm Chris. In this episode, we're going to be working on the Aston Martin. We have about 24 hours to drift prep the Aston Martin. So that means that we got to build a front bash bar, we have to mount the radiator properly, we have to figure out the serpentine belt to run the auxiliaries, and we have to figure out a fan to cool the radiator. I have no idea if we can do it in time, but I want to try. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Stay tuned. So yesterday I was able to find a belt that is 1 inch too long, and I was able to find a belt that's 1 inch too short. So I have both of those belts as options. For the first try, I just picked up the one that's a little bit long. The Aston's right there. I put the battery charger on it for a little bit. Oh, the other thing I gotta do is probably replace the battery. If not, I gotta pull it and charge it. So that's something that I have to do tonight. So anyways, it's sitting right there. I've got the portable battery pack on it for like the last hour or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and start it up, move it in here, and then we'll get it on the lift so I can get under there and see how to do that serpentine belt, because coming from up top, there's not enough room. I'll show you that in a second. There we have it, the car's up. I asked 6-Speed to send me another radiator and they still haven't sent me one. I don't know what's up. If anybody knows 6-Speed, tell them I gave them a shout out. All right, so the serpentine belt that we lost obviously goes right down there. There's not a lot of room to access it from up here because you have the dry sump oil system right here. So it looks tricky. I think I'm gonna start by Googling, and I'm just gonna Google around and see what I can figure out here. About a strategy. I bet my boy redpants.lol's got a good guide on how to do this, so I'll jump online real quick, try and figure something out, and then I'm guessing you'll see me slide under there and fast forward in about a second or two. So underneath the car, I discovered why we lost our old belt. If you look right here at this pulley, I can barely move it back and forth, but it's super dented. It looks like it got impacted from here. That's what sliced our old belt and killed this pulley. So it can't even rotate all the way around, but you know, regardless of that, I wouldn't run it like this. So there is still hope to get us on the track. I just have to figure out what this is. If this is the AC compressor, then we could maybe bypass it. I could hope, cross my fingers, and maybe go get a belt that is shorter and would bypass this. Let's see. Let's figure out where the hoses that come out of this are and what they go to, and hope that it's not power steering. All right, who's ready for some more bad news? Let me dive you in here. So as I was looking at the different belts and the pulleys to try and figure out what I could do about that that AC compressor, saw this power steering. Now this is where the power steering is. So the other thing indeed was the AC. That's messed up. This is the power steering, and if you look right here as I do this, you can see the amount of damage. And let me spin it for you. It's just wobbly. It looks like it could just be the pulley that's on the front, but I don't know if that's a piece that can be taken off independently of the power steering pump. But there goes our hopes of drifting this car tomorrow. That's not going to be possible. All right, well, that's most likely any hopes of this thing drifting in about 24 hours from now, completely gone. But there is still hope. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna start looking at part numbers. So good tip for any of you guys that are working on cars that are like in this range, they're rare or exotic, even though it's not too exotic, but I hope you know what I mean by that. It's a rare car company. They don't have enough money to build all their own parts, like an AC compressor and a power steering pump. They almost always borrow that from a different car company. So these parts are essentially like shared parts. So those could be Jaguar parts, they could be Land Rover parts. Those are very likely candidates. If they are, then my local auto parts store may have a replacement. I think that with how little room is down there, it would probably take me an entire day just to swap both of them out. But if it's possible, it's possible. So right now, I'm going home, I'm gonna do research, see if I can get those parts. I have to get them one way or another, and then I will let you guys know tomorrow what our hopes are for having this thing back on the road anytime soon. And then if this is like an Aston Martin fix episode, or if we're gonna hit the brakes and go over to the BRZ and get back to work on, I don't wanna say more important stuff, but the thing I was working on before. Anyways, see you tomorrow. What's up, guys? All right, it's the next day. Unfortunately, it's quite late in the day. Cars and coffee'd a little too hard, and so any hopes of drifting tomorrow with the Aston Martin are pretty much shot. And I honestly haven't been spending enough time in the car, so I've kind of canceled drifting tomorrow. So to you guys, that doesn't matter at all. But there won't be a drifting of the G35 episode coming out because I figured you guys would rather see me working on the BRZ. If that's not the case and you guys would like to see me take that thing out and go drifting with it, just leave a comment and I'll get right back out there as soon as I can. But I figured I haven't been putting in enough work, and work should come a little bit before fun. So I'm gonna stay focused on builds for now. So with this part, what I've learned is I've been really not paying attention to the, what's it called? The air compressor, air conditioning compressor. Sorry, my phone's going crazy. It's been an insane day. I've been focusing on the power steering, and I have found a lot of other pumps that look just so freaking similar, but maybe not quite exactly there. The Aston Martin pump for a used one is about 550 bucks. For a new one, it's about $700. For a used one that looks super similar to it, it's about 40 bucks. So that's why I really like working on these cars. I like being able to find out these kind of hacks to be able to show other people and figure these other things out. So what I need to do really is I gotta get these parts off. That's the first thing I gotta do. So that's my new goal for the rest of the night. I'm gonna get the car back up on the lift. We're gonna slide underneath, and then we're gonna figure out how to take off the air conditioning compressor and take off that power steering pump. With a little bit more visual diagnosis of that, I can figure out if it's just the pulley, and I could definitely just replace the pulley. If we need to do that, we can do that. It's about a $12 part. Or we can get a whole new power steering pump. In the event that I do that, I'm gonna order one that is not made by Aston Martin. It's gonna be made by another company like Jaguar or Land Rover, and because they're all made by another company called Denso, so it doesn't really matter. And then we'll try it out on the car. If I can figure it out, then we could document a way to get a new power steering pump for 1/10 the cost. And that's all about what we do here. So that's the game plan. Let's get it up and get under it. Well, this marks a momentous occasion. This is the longest it's ever taken me to uninstall an AC compressor. It took like 2.5 hours to get this thing out, which was ridiculous. Yeah, that's what it's like working on this car. Everything is super, super tight under there. There's no room to work on anything, and there's just a bunch of miscellaneous crap that's going everywhere to support that rear-mounted transmission and all that other nonsense. So that's a bummer, and I'll show you more about how that's going to block us getting to the power steering pump in a second. But we got this off, and you can see the damage that was done here. It looks like it hit right here, and this whole thing is toast. So there's lots of good part numbers on here, and you can see, let's see if, I don't know if the camera will focus on this. Right there, that's the company that makes all of these things, and that's what you go after when you're looking to find these in a more generic way. Although it may be very hard, I'm not really sure. This one's not actually like stamped like Aston Martin on the side like the power steering pump is. So that's kind of why when I said originally that if I'm going to be drifting this a lot, I want to do a 2JZ swap on it, because it's extremely hard to work on anything under this car. And if it's going to take all that time, every time I want to do anything, I'd rather go to a simplified model. There seemed to be some miscommunication though about when I wanted to do that. I would definitely want to drive this car for quite a while before we do the 2JZ swap. So don't worry about that. It's not going to be coming too soon in any form. The car's still got to be put back to stock, then drift modifications, then I got to drive the hell out of it, have a lot of fun with it. Then I'll start thinking about that motor swap, and you know, maybe time will tell. Maybe we won't do it. It's nothing to worry about for right now though, because we got bigger fish to fry and lots of other projects to do. Changing the motor power plant in this car is not a high priority for me. I'd much rather just, you know, use it for a good long time. But it'll definitely be a situation where if we use it and then we, like say, I break the transmission, then I'll definitely like do that swap. So anyways, toast, getting rid of this. I'll find a new one online. The next thing we got to do is get the power steering pump out. Let me show you. Whoa, I just noticed this has got a huge crack in it. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to get another one of these guys. Let me jump in there and I will show you what's blocking the power steering pump and the challenges to getting that out. Okay, so down there you can see the pulley just through this blackness right there. That's the pulley. This is the high pressure line right here, and it screws into the power steering pump back there, right there, and it also looks like there's a connection right here, so we can take that off. at this joint right here, and hopefully bring down the power steering pump with that elbow on there. The next line is the low pressure line. That's this line right here, and it has one of these style clamps that go on. It actually connects when it connects to the power steering pump itself. So these are a little bit more tricky to get off, and that will not be fun from under there. So that's kind of what we have to do to disconnect the tubing. Let's jump underneath and I'll show you what we have to deal with on the bottom side to get this off. On the bottom side, it's a much worse scenario. So you can see that these are hard lines for the oil to come through down to, this is like the dry sump thing right here. So these are the hard lines for the oil, and they have to be removed, which is then going to drain oil all over the place. And I have to, so they go up into here where it's then flexible. You can kind of see where it connects into the black stuff. That'll make it somewhat flexible, and hopefully I can like make them dive down this way to get out of the way of the power steering pump so it can fall down, because without that I don't know how it's going to be able to fall down. You can see this is where the AC compressor came off. It's so little room. You imagine you got a big AC compressor here, and I'm going up and over to get to bolts here, here, and into here. So it's very tricky. Anyway, so I have to unscrew the oil lines, drop that down. That's going to drain a bunch of the oil out of the car. Then I got to take off the power steering lines, which is going to drain a bunch of power steering fluid out. And then once these are out of the way, hopefully I can unbolt the power steering pump. Lots of work to be done there. Well, somehow I managed to spend another couple hours working on this stuff, but it's all very, very time consuming. It's like they took a car and were just like, okay, now all these bolts, just don't make them accessible, put everything on top of where they need to be. So it's been very, very difficult. There's just no room to get a wrench in there anywhere. I got the two hard lines disconnected from the dry sump section. We drained a lot of oil out into there, and so we're gonna have to do basically an oil change when we get done with this, but that's no problem. So those are kind of drained now, and I got to either bend them down and probably zip tie them away, or fish them up through the top and then start working on that power steering pump. This is all getting so ridiculous. I got the power steering pump out and unbolted at this point. And it's so tight in there that I can't even fish it out of the car. I can't come up from the top, I can't go down from the bottom. So I got a lot of oil dumped on my face. Power steering fluid, actually. So I gotta keep working on it, but it was another about 2 hours to get that completely unbolted and out of there and free, and now it's just stuck. All right, I finally got this thing out of there. I mean, this was ridiculous. 5 or 6 hours it took me to get out of there. It really made me feel like the first time I was ever working on cars. This was like so hard to do, but got it out. It looks like just the pulley is probably what's broken on this, so I could probably replace the pulley, but I might go ahead and try and order that other pump as well, just to do a comparison, because it's only $40 and it'd be some good research. Should be something good to know. So I might try and order the one that matches up with this. But yeah, that's it for that. There is, if anybody's doing this at home, which I highly doubt any of you guys are, but if you are, I feel sorry for you. And there's also another hose that comes off of here that once you free this thing up, you gotta take that hose off because it has a bracket connected to it. It's like a metal hose. And that creates too much width on this thing to be able to shimmy out. This thing really only gets out by like millimeters. It doesn't just fall out. You have to really get on it to like kind of cinch it down and pull it out of there. So that's that, finally. All right, well that's it for this little project. We finally have I think we've found the extent of the damage to the Aston Martin. So I'm gonna go ahead and order a new AC compressor. I'm gonna try and get a generic one that'll fit back in there on the cheap, and I'll get a new power steering pump, and I'll get those two things figured out off camera. When we're ready to go back in, I will have fully functioning replacements for those, and I'll let you know the cost of those and what they cost. In the meantime, while those parts are coming in, I'm gonna jump back on the BRZ, the 2JZ swap, and we'll stay focused on that for a while. And like I said, I'm pretty close to having body panels on the way over here for this, so that will be really cool, and then we can hopefully just, you know, get it do a lot of stuff at once. Windshield is going to be a difficult thing as I'm learning, so that'll be tricky, and I'm going to be working on getting that as well. So that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like BS for Build, you like what we do, head over to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, pick yourself up a hat, BS for Bond decal, BS for Broke decal, the BS for Build decals. We got the new BRZ shirt is out right now as well. So all those things help fund the channel and help keep this thing alive that I do here now. So thank you guys so much for that. I very much appreciate all the support. I don't know why that was a little tongue-tied. I appreciate the support very much, guys. I really do. And if you want to find us in more places, we are BS for Build on like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all those good things. If you want to find us on there, just check out, type in BS for Build, and you'll find us. Feels like it's been a while since I've done an outro. I feel like I'm struggling through this one. But I'm keeping it. It's a good one. That's it. Next episode starting tomorrow on the BRZ. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe. Peace!
Come on.